We are hanging out and cooking today with Sonika Mbewe, an influential African food activist based here in Lusaka. Cultural heritage and a deep love for food propelled her to promoting African foods globally. She is the founder of Tastes of Africa and Afro Brunch. Sonika has made it her life's work to showcase the vibrant flavors of Africa and to educate communities on sustainable food practices. She is a champion for underrepresented culinary diversity of the continent. Sonika is also committed to putting Zambian cuisine on the global map, with an interest to strengthen food tourism and inspiring a love for the culinary arts across Africa and beyond. On Tandala with Dr. Ayan.
Hi, good to see you.
I see you got some lovely stuff cooking
Yeah,
up.
I'm cooking up a storm here. I am pounding, I am cooking, I am roasting on the fire. Over there, I have juice, I have plantains.
I love it.
I
I
mean,
love it.
you're
And
not
then
gonna
the
cook
African
today.
feel of cooking outside. You normally cook outside, right?
Yes, I love cooking outside.
Yeah. So I'm glad
love
that you
cooking
gave us
outside.
this opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you.
Your expertise of food, more particularly African
Yes,
food.
yes.
Okay, so as you cook and I observe and watch and hopefully taste later.
Of course, of course. I mean, all this food is not for me. It's for
Yeah.
everybody.
And
So,
food is, as you know, a unifying connector globally.
definitely,
But why is
definitely.
African food under the radar?
Yes. Why is African food under the radar? I think it begins with me and you. I mean, we have to sell it.
True.
We have to promote it.
Yeah.
Instead of us buying the fast foods, we have to support the African restaurants, whether it's in the US, whether it's in Europe, whether it's
Yeah.
in Africa.
Yeah.
We literally have to make African food fashionable and a vibe. As my daughter says, she's 70, she says, that food is a vibe. So if you and I can communicate to
Yes.
others and let them know that African food is a vibe,
Yes.
African food is good, it's nutritious, it's healthy, it's organic,
Yes.
not a lot of chemicals,
Yes.
then we will definitely put African food on the
It's a
map.
good point. As African natives ourselves, it's our
Yeah.
responsibility
Yes,
to celebrate our foods, right?
definitely,
Tell us
definitely.
your background, your connection to African food, and
Wow.
why you're so passionate about African food.
I'm so passionate, like I get so excited.
I love it.
Well, it all started 5 years ago, to be honest, but maybe even longer than that. It started growing up in a home where I had different African descents in one home. When I say that, I mean a little bit mixed of Senegal, of Kenya, of Zambia, of Rwanda, of Tanzania. And that all came together in one home. So we would have Zambian shima with maybe Senegalese meat or sauce,
Yes.
and maybe we would have Kenyan meat.
Yeah.
Oh no, should
Yeah.
I stop? I have to get him.
The doggy.
Yeah, so
I love the African
we'll
food. We have
cut.
animals all over the place
I
here
know, I'm
too.
sorry about the dog. So so it all started with that background, and then 5 years ago, I noticed in Zambia when I was going to food markets, so a lot of food markets starting in Zambia, but now there are so many. And guess what? There was no Zambian food at the food markets. There was no African food. And I said, wait a minute, we're in Africa. And then I fly all the way 7,000 miles, go to Germany, and there's an African food festival. And I was like, what? Go back home again. And I'm like, I'm starting something. So I started a food market called the African Food Market. And then it evolved into the African Food Festival. And at some point, we had about 20 countries coming together.
Wow.
You can imagine the smells, the culture, the taste, the flavors.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing you're doing that. You know, it makes
you.
us proud of you and
Yeah.
you help us become proud of our own food.
Yeah.
Now, you know, across the globe, people are familiar when you say Asian food, you can think
Yes.
of the specific types of Asian food, the
Yeah.
Thai food, Indian
Yeah.
food, Vietnamese food,
Yeah.
right? And so even certain cuisines are known about. But
Yes.
what are the African staple cuisines that you think? Because you're world traveled
Yeah.
and gastronomy and cultural African foods is your thing.
Yes.
What are maybe three staple foods that if you mention it,
Mm.
almost everyone would know about?
So first of all, I'm an African food activist,
Okay.
and I'm a gastronomist, but
Yes.
not an astronaut, because
Okay.
people be like, is that an astronaut? So gastronomy is actually the culture, the study of food and the culture, the smell, the how you cook it, how you preserve it. So I would say what I find, which is, oh, sorry, what was the question again? I forgot.
I
Yeah.
think what I asked you is what are the three, maybe two, three, or even if more of staple
Yes,
African
staple.
foods
Yes.
that you can mention to people
Yeah.
and say, yeah, I know that.
Yeah. So staple African foods, I would put the map of Africa and
Or
I would
even
say,
African country foods.
yes. So I would say West Africa.
Yes.
I would say staple African food is definitely plantain.
Plantain.
That is so staple to West Africa. You will
Yes.
find it in almost every West African home.
Mhm.
And I would say for East Africa, it's quite different.
Mhm.
It also depends because East Africans love a lot of goat meat.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, East Africans love meat.
Yeah.
So I would put the meat there. I
Yes.
wouldn't say,
East Africa, as a
yeah,
Somali native myself, we're
yeah,
big
I
meat
would put
eaters,
the
that's for
meat
sure.
there, the goat cheese, that's
Yes.
definitely East
Yes.
African. Yeah, you'll find it a lot in Ethiopian dishes, Somalian dishes.
Yes.
Yeah, so and
More,
then now,
more so Ethiopian dishes, like the Algerians.
yeah,
Like, you see a lot of Ethiopian
yes,
restaurants all over the globe.
all
You know, so
over.
they do very well in promoting their foods, and
Definitely.
celebrating their foods, no matter where they are.
Definitely. They are
So,
everywhere. They're like Nigerians. They are chasing each other.
yes, yes, the West
Yes.
Coast, the Nigerians, and the East Coast, Ethiopia,
And then yeah,
for sure.
Ethiopia. And then you come down and then now you start getting into the Ugari, Shima. It's also East African staple,
Yes,
but you start getting into it. But when we talk about Ugari or Shima, I would talk about the staple, the cassava, the millet. Those were
yes,
the original staple foods that
yes,
Zambians used to eat or East
yes.
Africans
All
before we
forms
had
of
the white
maize.
maize. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are you cooking today as you're talking?
So
It smells so good. It's driving me crazy.
I have some
What's this?
beans here.
Mhm.
This is how we normally cook Zambian beans.
Mhm.
But because I like things a little bit mixed, you know, I call it my own version of African beans.
Yes, yes.
So this
Absolutely.
beans has got some paprika, it's got some basil leaves from there,
Oh, so you can
and
show us on the.
yeah, and
Ooh.
it's quite spicy.
Mhm.
So it's not the typical Zambian beans,
Mhm.
but it definitely has been cooked in a Zambian way. Definitely
Wonderful.
has been. So this is white beans, by the way,
Okay.
and it's a staple here in Zambia. It's grown everywhere and mostly I think in eastern Zambia you'll
Yeah.
find white beans.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait to try that.
and then I got my other cooking
Ooh.
stick, and then this is goat stew.
Mhm.
So as I said, East Africa #1 goat meat is staple food. So
Absolutely.
this is a goat stew, but with this goat stew, we're gonna add something different to it.
Mhm.
We're gonna add this is called igusi.
Mhm.
So igusi is basically pumpkin seeds, and then
Interesting.
they've been grinded into a little bit of a, well, I would say it's more of a paste powder. It's
Mhm.
soft,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna add that into the goat stew,
Okay.
and then I'm going to add some. They call this kalembla.
Kalembla.
So these are sweet potato leaves. You
Leaves,
were
sweet
talking,
potato leaves.
you were telling me about red
Yes.
sweet potato.
Yes.
So this is sweet potato leaves. I'm not sure if it's for the white or red, but all I know is it's sweet potato leaves. My mom would probably know, like, okay, so this one is red, this one is
Yes.
white.
Yes.
So we're gonna add that to
Okay.
garnish it,
Mhm.
and that will be our goat soup.
Wonderful.
So it's almost like we're making an igusi West African, but inspired by East African flavors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of East African flavors, African flavors, I
Yes.
see you have some staple spices, which we'll
Yes.
get into in a little bit. But the first gastronomy food, African Food Awards is
Yeah.
taking place early November
Yes.
here in Lusaka, Zambia.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
I'm so happy. So last year, my food festival, the African Food Festival, won the best marketing campaign at the Zambia Tourism Awards. So then during the awards and during the whole nomination process, I noticed, I was like, okay, the food category is quite minimum. The gastronomy category is so small.
Yeah.
I was even wondering, should we even take part? Because I felt like we didn't fit in.
Yeah.
But thank God there was marketing, and the way we marketed the food festival last year, we did it all the way in Europe. You could go to Berlin and literally see posters. Oh, food festival, where? Is it in Berlin? No, it's in Zambia. Get on a plane. And all over social media. So
Yeah.
after the awards, I thought to myself, I'm like, if nobody's going to do it, then I have to start it.
Yes.
I
And
have
we're
to
so
honor
glad that
people
you
in that
did.
area. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And there's so many different African countries within the
So many.
continent.
So many.
Everyone kind of sees Africa as one big country. And
Yes.
it's the most diverse continent there is.
Oh my God.
And a lot of our cuisine had been adopted across the world and
Yes.
changed around a little bit, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, let's talk about the staple spices that you have
Yes.
here.
So normally I work with spices that I've grown up with. So I love coriander. I was actually pounding some coriander. Coriander has been played a big role in my growing up.
Yes.
For beans, we use coriander. I went to boarding school. The beans was horrible, so I would add my own spices after they bring it to the table.
Yes.
Paprika, my grandfather grew paprika. We had a paprika farm close to the airport, so anything to do with paprika, count me in. I can make a good paprika chicken. I can cook anything. So, and then this is cumin. I've also grown up with this spice. It smells amazing. And so when I'm pounding, when I'm mixing my spices, I'll add it in there.
Cumin and coriander really good together.
Yes, and you can use it for beans, for a meat stew.
Yes.
And we have some bay leaves. So we have some bay leaves here. This is the soya. I got this from Nigeria.
Okay.
And it's used for soya meat, like they roast it. But I'm doing michopo, which is the Zambian version of soya. Okay. Or in Kenya, nyama choma. Okay. So I'm doing, apart from doing the goat stew, I'm roasting some nyama choma or michopo on the grill. Yes. And this is just black pepper. Yes. This is hibiscus and some cinnamon. We're using that to make some jojoba juice. Because, you know, when you're having African food, you have to, everything has to be African. Yes. Even the juice, it's either would have jojoba or we'll have monkoyo, which is made out of maize meal. Yes. So today I decided on the red jojoba hibiscus. And then we have kapenta. I'm gonna fry this. Yes. Yes. So I don't know whether they call them sardines in different parts of the world. Yes, it'd be called sardines. Sardines. I saw them in Spain, and they were fresh and tasted amazing. I was like, oh wow, I was inspired. So I'm gonna fry these, and we're gonna mix them with the beans later. Okay. And then this is some crayfish. I normally use it when I'm making jollof rice, but I also use it for my stews. Okay. I add just a little bit so that I can pound it together. It just gives that nice seafood flavor. And of course, I also have my own, which is the jollof rice spice. But I also use it for my stews. Okay. Yeah, because it gives that nice flavor as well. Yes. And we have the plantains. We can't forget about the plantains. As you said earlier, we're gonna cook a staple of African food and Caribbeans as well. Yes. Because our Caribbean culture still has a strong connection to Africa, especially in the cuisine. Definitely. Caribbeans, plantains all the way. Yes. You go to Brazil, you'll find them. So I have the yellow ones, which are really good. And the green ones, I normally use them for frying. Yellow, I would fry, but also bake them. Yeah. So I think that's about it for now. And the beautiful thing about African food is everything is fresh. We don't really use preservatives. So you pick things off from the farm or purchase it from the farmers that come to the city. My tomatoes. So I have a farm, and these came from the farm, and my mom picked them. Directly from your farm. Yeah. Amazing. No chemicals, fresh. Everything is just super fresh, and that's one thing about Africa as well. Yeah. We have to give credit. Yeah. Most of the times when we buy foods in the stores here, they're normally from the small farmers. Yes. And I think it's getting bigger and bigger, the support from the big supermarkets. Yes. Yeah. So it means you have fresh tomatoes, you have less chemicals in them, you have fresh vegetables, less chemicals in them. Yeah. Yes.
Amazing. And I can't wait for the awards. I'm definitely going to be there.
Yes,
And so you see it as something that's going to be picked up and maybe become regional in the Southern Africa region because it's
definitely,
new
definitely. So
and you're
we've,
the one starting it.
well, yes, I have a whole team, definitely, and it's on the 9th of November this year. Let Zambia lead the way by bringing the first gastronomy awards
Yes.
in the whole of Africa.
Yes.
So I'm so proud that we're starting it, and we're going to invite other African countries to be part of it.
Pass on that. Now I smell
Yeah.
something roasting. Where's the roast?
Yes.
What is
So
roasting? Where's
when
over there.
when I cook, I'm cooking here, there. So this is how they cook michopo in Zambia.
Muchopo.
Muchopo. It
Muchopo.
means cut into pieces.
Like chopped up meat?
Yes, like chopped up meat.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's normally a mixture of different meats, but this one is just goat meat.
Okay.
And if you go to almost every compound, you find a bunch of guys sitting with a beer bottle with some muchopo.
Waiting for it to roast.
Yeah, so you're gonna try the muchopo, the Zambian way, and then you're gonna try the East and West African way with the goat stew.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Sonika, let's go back to your area
Yes,
here.
yes.
Tell us what is one thing that you want people to know about African food. Africans themselves and people who are not really exposed to
Yeah.
African food.
Okay, one thing you have to know about African food is it has the most beautiful flavors. It's not just the food when you're eating it, it's also the culture. So when you get a plantain, you're gonna understand the history of it. So when you're eating plantain, jollof rice, and shima, muchopo on a plate, everything has a history and has a culture and belongs to a different group of people. But guess what? We're all Africa. Somehow we're all one and we share these foods together. So today I might decide to come and have Ethiopian or Somalian food. And you will explain it to me and say, oh, this is how I grew up.
Yes.
Every food in Africa that is served on a plate has a story. And that is the difference with having fast food.
It's very profound that you say that because even in individual African countries, certain foods, certain flavors are more distinct to certain parts of a particular country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the food itself tells a story.
Yeah.
The food itself identifies itself from where it comes from.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Just from the flavors and the culture, and like you said, that history it carries themselves.
Yeah, and
That's
some foods are meant
amazing.
for big events like weddings.
Yeah.
It's only now certain foods like in chikanda in Zambia that you find them everywhere. Before it was that chikanda was meant for special events like kitchen parties,
Yes.
coming together of people. So, but now
Yeah.
you can find chikanda almost everywhere.
Yes.
So it represents celebration. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So Taste of Africa, which
Yeah.
is also your initiative, which is the umbrella of all these initiatives that
Yes.
you're doing
Yes.
related to African food.
Yes.
Yeah. How can people in Zambia and outside of Zambia get involved?
Well, they can get involved from, I would say, with African food, wherever you are, and with Taste of Africa, you can become a partner. You can check out our website. It's www.tasteofafrica.co.zm. And we can give you the support. We can mentor you, whether you want to start your own food festival. There's a lady in Kenya, she actually wants to start an African food festival. And she reached out, and I was so happy. I was like, yay! This would be amazing, and we'll come to Kenya and support you, you know?
It can move around.
Yes, it can move around. It can move around.
Yes.
So we'll support you, we'll mentor you, we'll give you advice on how to get into the gastronomy industry, whether you want to be a chef, whether you want to open a restaurant. I actually used to own an African restaurant about 10 years ago. I forgot to mention that. But I think I was too early for that industry.
Yes.
People didn't understand it then because they came and then they were like, what? Where's the shima? I said, it is an African restaurant. So we're going to have shima, we're going to have jollof, we're going to have plantain, we're going to do palau rice, we're going to do They didn't get it then, and Zambians at that time were very scared to experiment.
Yeah.
But now, oh my God, I don't know if it's the movie industry, the Nollywood.
It's becoming global.
They're like, oh, goat soup. I know what goat soup is. Oh, you had it. No, I saw it on TV.
Good
So,
old
yeah.
TV exposing us to different foods.
Yeah, and TikTok as well has helped. A lot of
Yes,
people are telling
social
me they
media.
see the recipes because I also have a TikTok channel called Afro Kitchen.
Mhm.
So they'll be like, oh, I saw that recipe, somebody copied you. And I'm like, no, I think we're all doing the most. Like we're all posting on TikTok,
Yeah.
but I have my own special way of doing it. I'm really excited because the Urban Hotel is going to do an African menu, all countries on one table. I told them Taste of Africa motto is Africa on one plate. So I want all countries on one table.
Yes.
Yeah, so quite exciting actually.
It is exciting. I will definitely be there.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
Sonika, thank you so much for
Thank you
allowing
for
us to chat
coming
with you.
home.
I gotta taste some of this food.
Oh
before
yeah,
I
we're
go
getting a
home.
big plate. So like I said, Africa on one plate. So we're going to give you this and that and that.
Yeah. And thank you so much on
Yeah.
behalf of all Zambians, on behalf of all Africans,
Yes.
for being bold enough to take this initiative
Yeah.
and magnifying African cuisine.
Yeah.
Not just Zambian cuisine, but African cuisine.
Yeah.
And then it starts with steps like this, and then it
Yes.
can eventually grow and grow and grow. So
Definitely.
kudos to you.
Thank
We're going
you.
to support you by showing up, eating the wonderful food, and supporting however way we can.
And thank you to the media as well, like you, for giving us a platform. We need more
Circular support.
more of that.
Go-to culture, right?
Yeah.
I am me because of you, and you are you
Yes.
because of me.
Yes, that is the
Right?
best. Thank you.
Welcome.